everyone, how's it going? I'm very, very excited to be sitting here today because I'm going to be doing an updated houseplant collection video for you all. I've been wanting to do this for a pretty long time. If any of you have seen my previous houseplant collection video that I did last year, you would know how much I love houseplants, how much I adore my houseplants. And when I did that video last year, I had 5 houseplants and I now have 12. So there's definitely a few more to share with you all today. So on another note, I have also moved. I am in a new place, as you might be able to tell. I moved a couple of weeks ago now, so Sean and I have been able to kind of combine our plants. He had a couple plants, I had a bunch of plants, and then we also together have gotten a couple of plants. And so yeah, there's a bunch of plants to talk about. So all of the houseplants that I will be sharing with you today are very low maintenance, very easy to care for. Let's jump right in. I'm going to start with my oldest plants all the way to my more newer houseplants that I have added to my collection. And that's how we're gonna do it. Okay, let's start. So plant number 1 is my spider plant, my beautiful, beautiful spider plant. This is the oldest plant that I own, the largest plant that I own. I actually have 2 spider plants. I have this one here as well, and they are truly wonderful plants to have because not only are they known for purifying the air, but they are really easy to care for. Really easy to care for. Honestly, they are hard to kill. They just keep on going. They don't need too much water. They like moderate amounts of water, moderate light, but honestly, you could plop them anywhere in a space, whether it be a little bit further away from light or closer to light, and they would be fine. If you're looking for like one of the easiest houseplants to own, I would definitely suggest a spider plant. So my next plant is my Marble Queen Pothos. Now, in my previous houseplant collection video, quite a lot of you guys had corrected me because I originally thought this was a golden pothos, but many of you were like, nope, that's a Marble Queen, Megan, get it right. It's finally dangling. In my old video, it was not yet dangling. It was just beginning to. In fact, look, he's got 3 danglers going. Look at that. That right there is success if I ever did witness it. Success on the Marble Queen front. Very resilient. They can be close to light, they can be farther away from light, and they like, you know, moderate watering. Usually what I do when it comes to gauging like how much water they need is I'll just put my finger in the soil and just kind of feel it out. If it's still a little bit moist, then I'll leave it for another couple of days. If it feels really dry, then that's when I will water the pothos, and pretty much that's what I do for all the plants. I also have here the golden pothos, also known as, I believe, the devil's ivy. They might be a little bit different. This is Sean's plant. This is one that he already had, and I recently repotted him into this little white pot here. He actually had a much smaller pot quite a while ago, and when I repotted him into a larger one is when he really started to grow. So his vines are so long, and that is what I love about the pothos species of plant, is that they're viney and they grow long and they're just beautiful. They make a really decorative plant and also quite hardy. Okay, on to my next plant. This is my leatherleaf fern, also potentially an austral gem fern. That's another variety of fern that looks very similar. With most ferns, they like higher humidity, and you do want to avoid direct sunlight because it can make the leaves dry out a bit. I used to have a Boston fern, which I shared in my old video, houseplant collection video, and he died. I love Boston ferns. I think they're so lovely, but the one that I had didn't make it through the winter. I guess in my bedroom where I used to live was way too dry. I even got a humidifier for the plant to try and moisten the air, but it just died. This next plant it's gotta be one of my favorites. I mean, all of my plants are my favorites, But this one I've had ever since it was repotted for me from just a little baby, and it is my snake plant. And now he's huge. She still has a long way to go because snake plants will kind of have a whole bunch of thick leaves that grow upward. Right now he just kind of just is the one leaf, but he's got a new one sprouting from the middle there. So like I said, I've had him since he was probably like that tall. It was just like a little baby that was transferred into this pot. And I don't know, you know, that's the thing with plants. It's so nice to have them from the time that they are little baby plants, and then they grow up and they're like mature adult plants. They're like children. They're like children, except not really like children, but they're kind of like children. Anyway, they're a pretty good indoor plant to have. You know, they can handle being away from light or in more indirect lighting. Another thing about the snake plants is that they love water. I find that out of all the plants I have, he likes water the most. I could water him almost every day and he just soaks it up. You can definitely, you know, water it on a more regular basis and not worry too much about over-watering it. My next plant is another very special plant to me because, again, I've had him since actually it was just in a dish of water with roots growing because it was being propagated. And that is the Dracaena. Dracaenas are a ton of fun. You can put them in all different kinds of lighting. They are okay in brighter light. They're also okay in lower light. I actually have him over by the kitchen sink where there's not a lot of light at all. And he's been totally fine. He's growing like there's no tomorrow. And yeah. The leaf style for this particular Dracaena is known as the Song of India crown, they call it, which I believe just means the type of foliage, because Dracaenas can come in like a dark green leaf. They can come in all different kinds of variations, and this one's sort of like an outer yellow, inner green. It is called the Song of India, I believe. I could be mistaken, but pretty sure that's what he's called. If you keep your Dracaena closer to a window or with more light, you'll have to water them more frequently. If you keep the Dracaena away from light like I do, then you don't have to water them as much. Like I find that the soil is moist pretty often. I don't have to water them very much, like maybe once a week I'll give it water. Okay, my next plant is this guy here, and that is my money tree. I love my money tree so much. The braided money tree. So you can see that the branches are braided. And I got this one a few months ago now, and as you can see, he is growing some new baby sprouts. I just love looking at the little baby sprouts. I really love looking at the baby sprouts. It's very enjoyable to me to be able to be like, look, they're thriving and growing and doing really well, and they're happy in their environment. It's rewarding to have a house plant. I'm telling you, if you don't yet have one, you gotta get one because it's very rewarding. So the money tree plant can withstand different types of light, can withstand, you know, different humidity levels. They do like a little bit more humidity, so, you know, they like some misting. Misting is always a good idea for your plants. I would say overall, the money tree will thrive in more light rather than lower light. The next plant that I've got here is the croton. The lovely croton. Just an interesting name for a plant. They are lovely tropical plants, very colorful. They come in all sorts of variations, different, you know, patterned leaves, different shapes for leaves. This one looks like this. And this was Sean's plant that I have lovingly adopted into my life. I really enjoy this plant because look how pretty it is. It's so colorful and just fun. And it took a while for it to grow. Like when he first had it, it was a much smaller plant, and it was like, it seemed to take forever for a new leaf to appear. But finally he started to grow. Like these leaves here are actually new leaves and they're huge, and he's just having a lovely time in his little croton life. Okay, so on to my next plant, and this plant truly is a character. I have to just preface and let you know that this plant is, I don't even know what has happened with this plant, but he's very special to both Sean and I because we rescued him actually. This is our Well, I couldn't really tell you. It could be an oyster plant, also a Moses in the cradle, Moses in the boat lily. I don't actually know. We've tried to Google it. The reason why we've been a little confused by what type of plant he is because a lot of the oyster plants are those that look similar. They're a lower plant, but this one's just grown so high. And I just have to do a little explanation here. You can see that he's got a wooden spoon in there holding him up. And that's because it's like he just went from being this little plant, but then he gave up on his stem. The stem down here is so weak, but then he got so strong up here that he just flops over without a spoon. So he's I don't know what he's doing really. We laugh pretty hard about him sometimes because we're like, what are you doing, plant? We water him pretty regularly. And yeah, they're a pretty no-fuss plant though, really easy to care for. Like, hasn't really given us any issues besides needing a crutch. All right, so I have 2 more little plants to share with you, and my second last, they are both in the cactus family. And we've got a little succulent. I always wanted a succulent for a pretty long time, and I finally got myself one, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. It's kind of funny because like, that's all he is. I didn't realize that, like I thought they would have grown roots and all that, but I then learned that actually they're a very shallow kind of plant and they do better in like pebbles or sand or something. We have him in soil, but he's just sitting on top of the soil. I'll eventually put pebbles in there instead. Definitely they like a lot of light, like a full day or at least most of the day. Sunlight, not too much water. When you do water them, you want to make sure that you don't allow water to sit kind of in their feet. They like to call it. Succulents don't like wet feet, so you don't want them to be sitting in water. You want to make sure that when you do water them, it drains thoroughly and then it can kind of dry up again. And my last plant, which is the newest to the family, is this aloe here. So this was also, this was gifted to us, and he was in quite poor health, I would say, when we first got him. Like, his leaves were brown and they were kind of falling, but he's kind of regenerated himself, and although he doesn't look like much, he's doing pretty good. He's growing some new little aloe leaves. Similar to the succulent, they do great near a window, great with lots of light, not too much water, make sure that it drains. And of course, it's nice to have an aloe because if you want, you can use the inner jelly for skin conditions, for burns, for itchiness on the skin, although I don't think that I really want to like cut open one of his leaves because I kind of want to just leave him be, but they're a kind of a fun, versatile plant to have. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you learned a thing or two about some easy to care for, low maintenance house plants. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment below if you have any of these species of houseplants or what your favorite houseplant is. You can give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to my channel for new videos every week, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.